So as a little side note, I was also talking to Eyes for Fruit this morning, and I'll put her information in the about part of this video. And she was talking to me about gardening. Now, she had tried to garden last year and she found that it didn't work. It was just nothing really grew, and overall she was very sad about the situation. And I was explaining that, and I thought that maybe this would be interesting for all of you, that the average brand new house built in North America has no more than 2 inches, and in some cases a lot less. Sometimes it's like 1 centimeter, 2-3 centimeters. So no more than 2 inches, which is a lot actually. I think it's way less than that. But we'll go with that number so nobody complains and tells me I'm saying something that's not right. Okay, so it's very little. What they do is when they're building a new house and there was, you know, a house there for a long time where there was no houses, they would clear away all the topsoil. And you would think that makes sense, actually. And then they would build the house, and then they should put the topsoil back. But topsoil is extremely valuable. So what happens in reality is the topsoil is removed, especially if it's like a subdivision area, like a whole bunch of houses are going in at once. They'll remove all the topsoil, and then they'll build the houses, and then they'll just put a small little layer back, just enough that will be good for your grass. Now, if you had a really good, healthy amount of topsoil already, you wouldn't need to fertilize your grass. Your grass wouldn't go dry. I mean, there's a lot of things that you'll notice that a house has been around for a long time. No, that doesn't happen either. A house that has been built by the owners where they didn't remove the topsoil is going to be a lot healthier. The ground is going to be a lot healthier. Even if you've had your home for a long time, your grass grows, and often most people like to collect their grass and throw it out. Throw it into the organic garbage and send it to the city, or throw it into their compost and then into the gardens, whatever it is. But most people don't allow that to be chopped off and fall back to the ground. If you did, that would be something that would be like nature, how it likes to turn things over and add them back in. But otherwise, we're just essentially removing all of that goodness from the ground. And if you only have this much, it's just not going to work. So if you move into a new house and you want to turn your backyard into a big garden, or your front yard, or your side yard, you know, whatever it is, you're gonna have to add dirt. That is the first thing. Feed your soil will feed your plants will be happy, and you'll be happy. Okay, so I have 2 suggestions for you. The first one is to add topsoil to your garden. So what we did here is, for the last few years, I have been adding bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of dirt into all of the beds. And of course, at the end of every year, or the beginning of every year in spring, I then also add in all the compost that we've made. And that works really well. But our garden was on a slight angle down to the hedge here. And so what I wanted to do was make it straight, because the angle just gave you this feeling like you didn't have as much space. It kind of made it squishier. So we ended up adding 2 feet of topsoil pretty much everywhere, and because it was on an angle, it's 2 feet, of course, coming to something not so much, like, you know, a little less on one side, more on the other side. But it also filled in the beds, and it added everywhere. It was really, really awesome. So that's one good way to do it, is if you feel like, you know, it might be the best option, instead of buying a lot of bagged dirt, just order really high quality topsoil, have them dump it on your driveway, bring it in, layer it out, and then go ahead and lay in where you want your grass to be and grow your grass. And of course, design your beds. You can have like a completely bare garden to start with. The other option is, if you don't want to do that, or if you're not sure you want to live there forever, or if it's too much work, whatever, you can build raised beds. Now, the great thing about raised beds is that they're going to be a little higher off the ground, so you'll be able to get into them better. You don't have to get down on your knees all the time or sit on the ground to access the base of plants. But if you're growing a garden that you want to look more like a flower garden with vegetables tossed in, and maybe you're not into the square bed look, perhaps, for example, in your front yard, you want more of a flower bed look, then adding the topsoil would be a better option. In the backyard, maybe you want the traditional garden theme, then having raised beds would be perfect. So this is also based on what kind of look you're going for in your garden. In my garden, something like a raised bed would not work, because the beds are so slinky in their shape, which is done on purpose because I actually laid out the paths that I wanted. I wanted like a feeling of going around the corner and then entering a new room and then going around another corner, entering another room. So I think we have 5 sections here, and each are about the size of my living room. It's a very small garden. And then the beds, like the borders and the beds, are full of flowers and vegetables. So straight lines and wood wouldn't fit. Instead, I've used curvy lines and stones. And then the occasional fence to keep the rabbits out. So I hope that helps. If any of you are a little stumped as to why you just can't grow anything directly in your ground, or if you're trying to put some trees into your ground and you are digging really big holes into the subsoil, not knowing it's subsoil, and you're finding that your trees aren't doing very well, I hope this helps give you a little hint as to what you could do. In that case, I suggest making a much, much, much bigger hole, like 3 or 4 times the size, because whatever you put in there, you want that to feed your tree for a very, very long time. And then fertilizing it and adding really good stuff, really good compost in the bottom, maybe some sand on top of that, worm castings, some fertilizer, whatever, and then filling it up and really creating like a really good base, and then plopping your tree into that huge new section. So it'll have really good fertilizer and good food for a long time. Make sure, of course, you know what kind of tree goes with which fertilizer. But that's a good way to handle that problem. So I hope this helps. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo!